Hello and welcome to this yoga class. This is taking place the last half of the month of March in 2020 when we are all in a coronavirus pandemic, and it's worldwide. It's causing us significant stress and anxiety. So I have designed this class as a therapeutic yoga class for dealing with anxiety. Now, anxiety results from stories in our minds that are going on about some threat as if it's happening right this second. Our body believes it's happening right this second. So then the chemistry in the blood changes, the heart speeds up, the respiration becomes shallow and fast, our muscles get really tense, our joints get tense, and our mind focuses down very narrowly on defending us against the threat. So part of lowering anxiety is not to hide from the reality. It's not to deny the reality. It's really to enable us to be able to deal with it. So when we lower our anxiety, our immune system works better, our digestion works better, we're able to sleep, we're able to be resilient, we can think more clearly, we can use the creative parts of our minds to respond more appropriately. We can have better relationships with other people because we are able to think clearly and to calm down. So the purpose of lowering anxiety is to be able to deal with this creatively. And yoga has three terms for energy in the body. And if you think for a moment about what the energy is like in you right now, is it a Raja energy, R-A-J-A, which is a high energy? And that can be excitement, it can be enthusiasm, it can be motivation, but it can also go into anxiety and even panic. And then there's Sattva, S-A-T-T-V-A, which is balance. And then there is Tamas, T-A-M-A-S, which is sluggish. It can be relaxation, but it also can go deeper into sluggishness, tired, exhaustion, and even depression and shutdown. And so the principle of therapeutic yoga is to start where you are, whether it's depression or anxiety, and move it to balance. So that's what we're going to work on today. We'll do another class on moving from depression to balance, but now we're moving from anxiety to balance. And so let's begin. You can do this in a chair, and if you don't do it in a chair, you can also use the chair as a support, particularly for balance poses, and also for some moderate inversions that we'll do right at the end. In terms of supplies, having a blanket available of some kind, maybe two of them that you can roll in different ways so that you can put it under the knees and under the back, or use it as a pillow in some of the poses will be helpful. Do what you feel like doing in this practice, and don't worry if there's some things your body says don't do. That's all right too. So I'm going to begin in a standing pose. And we'll put the chair to the side for balance poses so that it's there if we need it. And with the therapeutic yoga, particularly life force yoga, one of the major poses is bouncing. Now this may not look like it's appropriate to do, but it's really a wonderful way to begin to move the body and to use up excess energy and to get blood flowing and breath flowing in the body. So you start with just moving any part of the body you want to start with. You start with the feet, and then the legs, the knees, the hips, and just move. We're going to do this now for 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. So it's not going to be just a little shake and then stop. Keep moving. Notice the breath as you move and how it feels. Notice any judgment that you have about if somebody's there watching you do this, or you're feeling silly doing it or something like that. Notice that that is the judging mind. That's the ego that says, this is not what you do in public. It's certainly not what you do in front of a camera, but I'm doing it. So notice that judging mind, and then move the attention to the sensation inside the body. And see what that's like to just be aware of the sensation, regardless of the judging mind. Judging mind tends to create more anxiety. Sensation tends to focus into us and into what's going on. So just let it shake. Bring it into the shoulders and the elbows and the fingers. Let the fingers just dangle. See, keep the legs moving, keep the hips moving, move back and front and back, sideways. Just keep shaking, move it. Move the head and move the jaws, like that. Shake the head up and down to the sideways in different directions. Just move, 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 move. The body was made for moving, and we are moving, using up energy. And it really can be kind of fun. So maybe even lifting the corners of the lips might be part of this. So notice again, where is the mind? Judging or sensation? And what's in the mind? And notice the flow of the breath. And maybe bring attention to different parts of the body for a moment, to just be aware of what's happening inside. And keep it up. And then slowly we can begin to slow it down just a little. Maybe the movements get a little bit bigger. I just hit the chair, so I need to be aware that my arms need to move without hitting anything. And slowing it down a little bit more, but keeping it going, but slowing it down. Notice what it's like just to slow it down. And then begin to move towards stillness. Arms just hang to the side. Let the head rest on top of the heart on top of the belly. And let the belly settle into the pelvic girdle, the bowl that's holding the torso. And let that pelvic girdle be supported by strong legs. Not clenched knees, but just tight engaged legs. Feel the feet on the floor. And notice for a moment any sensations in the tips of the fingers. Notice any sensation in the palms of the left hand, the palm of the right hand. Notice the breath. Notice the contents of the mind. And then let's do, if you like to do the breath of joy. And it's like conducting a choir. So if we move our hands out in front, and then a little bit to the side, and then back to the middle and up, and down with bent knees, just come down a little bit, and then back up. And we do 3 inhales and 1 big exhale. So it's like this. So let's begin. We'll do about 12 of these. And you can do them at your speed and do more, or do it slower. Whatever feels right to you. But again, inhale. Three, 2, and last one. And then come back to stillness. Head resting on top of heart, heart on top of belly. Belly sinking into the pelvic girdle, the girdle held by the long, strong feet and legs. Just notice sensations in the body, sensations in the breath. And then we try some Qigong, or medical Qigong techniques for working on the joints of the body where a lot of tension is held. And when tension is held in the joints, they don't create the synovial fluid that is needed to facilitate movement, and they become part of the stress or posture of the body. So we begin with lifting, first of all, bringing the weight to the right foot and balancing on the right foot. To balance, it's helpful to have a drisky or a point of focus that is steady. So if you're looking at something that's moving, or you're moving your gaze around, the balance is much more difficult. If you find something that you can look at that's steady and not moving, and then you focus on that, the balance is a little bit easier. You can use the chair for balance if you need to, or is more comfortable. Lifting the legs so that the thigh is parallel to the floor or at an angle to the floor, either one, and then begin to just crunch the toes back and forth. Toes are a major part of the body and have a lot of joints in them, so to energize those joints is really helpful. And the toes are saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then pointing the toes up to stretch the back of the foot or the sole of the foot, pointing the toes down, pointing the toes up, pointing the toes down, and then up and down. And one more time, up and down. And then resting the foot on the floor for a moment, just to feel, to keep from building up too much energy. And then lifting that same foot again and rotating the ankle in a circle, maybe 7 or 8 times. And then in the opposite direction, 7 or 8 times. And setting it back on the floor. And noticing for a minute any sensation in the right foot and any sensation in the left foot, and see if you feel a difference there. Then bringing the weight to the left foot and lifting the right leg, maybe parallel to the floor or at an angle, and crunching the toes back and forth. See if you can keep the hips somewhat balanced in this. The tendency when we lift the leg is for one hip to come up. So if I try to balance the hips, that gets a nice alignment. Not totally necessary. Finding the balance, something to hold on to if balance is a problem. And then pointing the toes up and to the floor. Back toward the eyes and back toward the floor. And 2 more times, toward the eyes and toward the floor. And toward the eyes. Exhale and let the foot rest back to the floor. And notice again any sensations in the feet. Bringing the attention to the knees and bringing the balance to the right foot again, lifting the left foot and swinging the knee back and forth. The knee needs a lot of movement in it to generate that synovial fluid that keeps it healthy. So just keep moving that knee back and forth. Let it swing like a child swinging on the playground. And you can make a little circle with the knee if that feels all right. If the knee is compromised in any way, that might not work at all. But just playing with that to see if it works, or just keep swinging it back and forth. And then begin to ride a bicycle with it, which will get the movement into the knees and the hips. So just ride that bicycle. And then reverse it. Ride the bicycle backwards. Don't do this on a real bicycle without looking back. But here, we can just ride that bicycle backwards. And then bring that leg to the floor and rest. And notice any sensation in the hips and the knees. And see if there's difference in one leg and the other. And bringing the weight to the left foot and lifting the right leg. And beginning to swing the knee. Balancing the hips. And maybe making a circle with the knee a little bit, if that feels okay. And then riding the bicycle. And riding the bicycle backwards. And bring it to the floor with a nice release. Then we come to the hips. We've already started with the hips a little bit, but begin to bring the tailbone. You find that tailbone right in the middle of the hips and the back, and just bring it behind you a little bit, and then to one side, and then to the front, and then to the other side, and then to the back. And then make that a smooth movement. So this is a nice circle in the hips. Way out in front, way to the side, way in the back, just as far as it feels comfortable for your body to do. Let the shoulders move slowly with it. And just keep that movement in there, juicing up those joints in the hip bones and in the hip sockets, using some of the muscles in the hips that you can get set on for too long sometimes. And then going in the opposite direction. Just moving the hips. And then coming to stillness. And working on the belly a little bit. So if you've had food in the last 2 hours, this is not a good idea to do. So just wait until later. But if you haven't had food, you can breathe in to 2/3 capacity and retain the breath as you pump the stomach about 4 times. And release the breath. And then do that 2 more times. So breathing in 2/3 capacity, retain the breath, and pump. And release. And one more time. Inhale, retain, pump. And release. And then bringing the movement into the shoulders with the shoulder rotation. Just lift the shoulders up and back and down, up, back, down, several times. And then gently in the other direction, come up in the back, across the front, down the front, back around. And then bringing the arms out to the side. Reach in opposite directions, bend the elbows into goalpost pose, and let the elbows be as far back as feels comfortable to your body. A little bit of a stretch there. You can feel the scapula or shoulder blades reaching back toward each other as you reach the elbows back. And then take the hands behind the elbows. And then exhale, bring the hands down and toward the floor, but keeping the elbows up. And inhale, bringing the arms back up and behind, and then bringing the hands down, pointing down. And then let's do that 3 more times. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. And notice any tension building in the neck and just release it, because the neck can sometimes get really tight as you're doing this. And one last time. Let the hands come down, rest in that position, take a nice inhale, and then exhale to release. Bringing the hands to the shoulders with the elbows pointed out, and then bring the elbows into touch or press or come close to each other, and then back behind the body, and then in front and behind. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale back. Exhale forward. One more time. And then release. All right, notice any sensations in the elbows, in the shoulders. And bringing the hands out in front. And the palms come up, fingers spread wide apart. Bring the fingers together, and wide apart and together, and wide apart and together, and keeping them together, pointing down, keeping the arms long and straight, point the fingers straight down toward the floor. Feel that stretch over the top of the arms, and point back up, spread the fingers, push out through the heels of the hands, and then lower the fingers and release to the floor, to the sides. Now, work on the neck a little bit. If you turn your head to one side, inhale back through center, exhale to the other side. Inhale back to center and back to the other side. Inhale back to center and to the second side. And then inhale back to center. And then let the right ear come to the right shoulder. And feel the stretch on the left side of the neck. Inhale the head back to center and exhale over to the other side. And inhale back to center. And then notice the jaw one of the strongest muscles in the body, in a place that we can hold a lot of tension and grind our teeth sometimes. So bringing the hands to the jaw to just give it a little massage there, maybe a deep massage. And then it can go to the sides of the ear and behind the ear. There's little sinuses back there that get tight sometimes. To the eyebrows and pull out, middle of the forehead and pull out. Pushing on the crown of the head, massaging the crown of the head, the back of the head, and where the skull meets the neck. And then release the arms to the side and go through the body with a sensation check just to see what's going on inside the body right now. Notice the flow of the breath and notice the flow of thoughts, or what's the content of the mind as you're doing this. I'm going to move the chair a little bit out of the way, and we'll do a standing pose or two, if that is helpful. So taking one foot in front and the other foot behind, and at an angle, like a 45-degree angle of the back foot. And nice perch here. Those feet do not have to be in line. It's better balance for most of us if there's a little space between them. And then bending the front knee as we face over the front knee, and bringing the arm, inhaling the arms up to a goalpost pose. So from the front, it looks like this. And as you breathe in, open the fingers wide and reach up. As you breathe out, just lower the hands back to goalpost. Feel the feet really reaching into the floor, a firm foundation. This is a pose of confidence, a pose of possibility. I'm facing this with courage, with intention, with strength. I will do this. And then lowering the hands, bringing them behind the body, and straightening the front leg, bringing the hands, interlacing the fingers behind the body, and then just leaning over toward, bringing the chin, toward the knee. Stretching the back of that front leg, and inhaling back up. And I'm standing back in this position so you can see. Releasing the hands, facing to the front of the body now, with the hands stretched out over the legs, nice long arms, bending the front knee into Warrior Two pose, bringing the right hand, or the back hand to the back thigh, turning the front palm up and reaching for the sky, and maybe reaching back into reverse warrior a little bit. And back to Warrior Two. Nice long stretch there, and then relax. Straightening the front knee, bringing both arms out parallel to the floor, and then reaching out over the front leg, and coming back just to feel that movement. Now reach out over the front leg, and gently bring that arm to just below the knee or just above the knee, not right on the knee. And bring the upper arm up as high as feels comfortable, keeping the shoulder open toward the sky, if you can, and stacking one hip on top of the other. If you can bring this top hip back a little bit, keep the back hip, the bottom hip coming in, and reach up. Take a breath here, or two. And on the next inhale, push into the front foot to come all the way back up. And release the arms. Turn all 10 toes toward the front. And just stay here a second. And then turning the opposite direction, you can just rotate on the heels so that the back leg becomes the front leg, the front leg becomes the back leg, the back foot is at an angle, and we go through the whole thing again. So we inhale arms up into goalpost pose, we bend the front leg a little bit, and inhale arms up, exhale arms back to goalpost. Inhale arms up, exhale back to goalpost. One more time. Inhale arms up, exhale back to goalpost. And then bringing the arms behind, interlacing the fingers, straightening the front leg, and bringing the chin toward the knee. And inhaling back up, turning to face the front, arms reaching out in each direction, bending the front knee, the warrior two pose. Bringing the back hand to the back thigh, turning the front palm up, and reaching for the sky, and maybe reaching back into reverse warrior. See how that feels. Inhaling back to warrior two, and then straighten the front leg, releasing the hands for a moment, and then inhaling the arms back parallel to the floor and reaching out over that front leg, keeping the front leg straight. Reach out and come back. Inhale, then exhale, reach out, and bring that front arm to the front leg, below or above the knee, reaching the front and back arm up. Again, stacking the hips, keeping the shoulder open to the sky. Feel that twist energy, and inhale to come back up. Arms reach out, and then relax. Turning all 10 toes toward the front of the room, and bringing the feet together. And let's notice what's going on in the body as we have done these poses. There's another movement that can be very helpful in just sort of becoming gracefully slow and gentle in movements. So just swinging the arms gently from side to side, maybe making a kind of a figure 8 with the hands, letting the waist fall just a little bit in that movement. And then you can inhale the one arm up and around to the opposite hip in a kind of a twist. And then inhale the back arm up, around to the opposite hip in a twist. And just inhale, arm up and around. Inhale up, exhale to twist. This last time, inhale both arms up, and then exhale, twist. Relax. Release the arms. So a turtle movement is to reach the arms up, turn the fingers down, let them come down to the belly, touch the belly, go down the front of the hips, down the thighs, sit back, and the knees, reaching as close to the feet as feels comfortable, and then pushing the arms out as you inhale, push into the feet to come all the way back up. And point the fingers down, come down to the belly, hips, thighs, knees, shins, and feet, and hands come back out. Reach, reach, reach for the ceiling. And 2 more times. Reach down, let the hands slide down the front of the body, then the knees. Inhale, come back up. One last time. And coming back up. And releasing. I'm checking in with my notes to see what needs to come next. When we come to a seated position, in a chair or seated on the floor, so that you're in a comfortable position on the floor. So generally having a cushion or something under you can be very helpful with that. And bee's breath is a way to really go inside the mind, inside the body, and relax. It also is good for sinuses and thought patterns that are disturbing. It creates a nice vibration inside the head. And so if you make the sound that a bee might make, zzz, like that, notice the position of the tongue as you do that. Zzz, the back of the tongue is sort of to the roof of the mouth. The tip of the tongue is behind the back teeth. Zzz, and then close the lips and make the same sound. And then you can do 2 different hand movements with this. One, the most simple one, is simply to bring the thumbs to the cartilage at the opening of the ear. And when we get ready to practice this, you just close that so that the vibrations stay inside the head and you don't hear anything from outside the body. And we'll do an inhale and then an exhale with the bee's breath, and we'll do that 3 times. The other way to use the hands, if you want to make it a little bit more interesting, is to take the top finger toward the hairline, the second finger right at the corner of the eyes, and gently over the eyes, the third finger at the opening of the nose, and the fifth finger at the corners of the mouth, with the thumbs over the ears. And that way you don't press into the eyes, just have the finger lightly resting over the eyes. And then you can begin with a nice inhale and close the ears. Through, just let the hands come to the lap with the palms up. Notice any sensations in the palm of the right hand, in the palm of the left hand, in the face. Notice the flow of breath. And notice the contents of the mind. And then gently moving to a arrangement where we can lie on the floor, on a mat, on a carpet. And this is where having a chair nearby for another part of this is helpful. And having 2 blankets. One you can roll up sort of like this, so that it can go under the knees and keep the knees slightly lifted for a resting pose, and that takes care of the lower back. And then the other blanket can be a pillow to go under the head. And so we begin to lie down on the floor, gently lying back on the back. And this time, before using the blanket, keep the feet next to, or flat on the floor, with the knees about hip width apart. And breathe in, and exhale, taking the knees to one side, let's say to the right side, with the left shoulder still on the floor, reaching the arms out in a T position. And then if you can, turn the neck to look out over the left shoulder. Recline, twist, and inhaling, knees back to center, the face back toward the ceiling. Exhale the knees to the left and look out over the right shoulder and keep the right shoulder close to the floor. And then inhale the knees back to center and press into the feet. Bring the hands parallel to the body but out to the side just a little bit, palms pointing up. Press into the feet and lift the pelvis up off the floor into bridge pose, keeping the knees about hip width apart, and then exhale 1 vertebra at a time, bringing the hips back to the floor. Let's do that 2 more times. So inhale, pushing into the feet, lifting the pelvis. Chin is toward the chest, nice back, long back of the neck, feeling the weight settle back onto the shoulders. And then exhale 1 vertebrae at a time, back to the floor. And one last time, inhale up. Retain the breath a minute. And exhale down. And bring one knee at a time to the chest. And wrap your arms around it. Give the knee a nice hug. Feel what's going on in the lower back as you do that. If it straightens out that curve in the lower back and releases some of those tight muscles there. You can also sort of swing from side to side to massage those muscles. And you can rotate the knees in a circle. There's a different kind of massage of the lower back and the SI joint that can be a source of a lot of pain sometimes. And back the other direction. And then bringing the feet to the floor and letting the legs reach out so that the blanket is under the knees and feet come to the corners of the mat, or they are slightly apart. And you can stay right here, palms turned up, arms out to the side to go into Savasana. And I'm going to move around a minute to show you one other pose that I think can be very helpful in this time of stress, and that is to have the chair in front of me. And a blanket under the chair, folded so that there's a little bit of height there. And what I want to do is get my hips on this blanket and my feet up into the chair, and adjust the blanket so that it's under the sacrum, the SI joint. The feet are up in the chair. And now you have an inversion where the lymph fluid from the feet is flowing back. The hips are slightly higher than the hip heart, so there's a little bit of an inversion in the chest. And this is another place to have the palms out to the side, facing the ceiling, and begin to go toward Savasana, or deep rest pose, yoga sleep. And we do this by letting the eyes gently close, just following the breath in the body. Letting the mind relax, imagining that all the stress in the body begins to melt out into the floor, feeling the floor holding you. Sometimes you might hear the birds singing, children's voices in the distance, the life of the world around you. And then we can bring our mind inside so that the noises are not distracting and our mind is totally at rest, even if for just a few seconds. And you can stay in this pose for a good long time, as to how it's comfortable for you. For right now, we begin to move out of it by starting to move fingers and toes, and moving feet and hands, arms, turning the head from one side to the other, and then slowly using one foot to press into the chair or to the floor to turn you onto one side, and from there rotating around to come into a seated position. Go back to remembering the energy that was flowing in your body at the beginning of this session, and to the energy that you would like to have as sattva, or balanced energy. And notice if you've moved in that direction in any way during this practice. And if you have, fantastic. If you haven't, maybe we need to do the practice again. We'll keep doing that for a while. But for a moment, let's bring the hands to the heart center. Remember who you are and all the resources that you have in this world. And feel the peace deep inside. Namaste, my friends. May you be at peace.